most powerful move you'll ever make is the one nobody sees coming. That one truth sets the tone for everything you're about to hear. In today's world, most people are busy talking about their goals, talking about their progress, talking about success they haven't earned yet. But talking doesn't build anything. It's the silent work that does. That's what this audiobook is about. Never tell people what you do. Focus in silence. Win in public. You don't need to announce your plans. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to commit quietly. You need to show up every day, get better every day, and trust that the results will speak when it's time. This book will teach you how to stay focused, how to protect your energy, how to stop performing and start producing. If you're serious about building real success, this is where you start. Quietly, consistently, and without saying a single word. Chapter 1. Close your mouth and get serious about your life. Close your mouth and get serious about your life. That's where everything starts. It's not about talking, it's about doing. It's not about explaining your plans to people who aren't living your life. It's about waking up one morning and deciding you've had enough of the nonsense. You've had enough of wasting time, of talking without action, of pretending things are okay when they're not. That decision, that quiet decision inside your own mind, is what changes everything. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You need focus. You need a real, personal conversation with yourself that says, I'm not going to play small anymore. I'm not going to delay anymore. I'm not going to look for shortcuts. I'm going to work. Most people spend more time talking about what they're going to do than doing it. They'll post about their goals, they'll talk about their plans, but they never build anything. Do you know why? Because talking is easy. Talking makes you feel like you've made progress even when you haven't. It gives you a quick hit of confidence, but it doesn't give you results. Real progress starts when you go quiet. When you decide to stop sharing everything and start fixing everything. When you start waking up earlier. When you stop wasting time with people who don't care where you're going. When you delete distractions and get to work. That's the beginning of something real. You don't owe anyone a single explanation about your goals. Not your friends, not your neighbors, not even your family. This is your life, and if you want to change it, you have to start acting like it matters. Most people won't understand your hunger. Most people won't understand your silence. That's fine. They don't have to. You're not building your life to make sense to others. You're building your life to become who you know you're meant to be. And that version of you, the one you dream about, the one you've kept locked up for years, the one you talk to late at night, that version doesn't need attention. It needs action. You can keep talking about change, or you can change. You can keep explaining, or you can evolve. The world doesn't need to hear about your intentions. It needs to witness your transformation. There is a power in silence, a kind of strength that grows when nobody's looking. You get serious about your life when you stop chasing validation, when you stop needing someone to agree with you, when you stop updating everyone about your every move. You don't grow by telling, you grow by doing. Start asking yourself some real questions. Are you using your time wisely? Are you making the best use of your mornings? Are you training your body? Are you strengthening your mind? Are you learning new skills? Or are you just moving through each day, scrolling, talking, and wishing. If you want to make a real change, start by cutting the noise. Stop trying to impress people who aren't even doing anything with their own lives. Stop trying to explain yourself to people who don't even understand the meaning of growth. That's a trap. Every time you talk instead of act, you trade your power for comfort. And every time you trade action for comfort, you stay stuck in the same place. Take your goals seriously. Take your time seriously. Take your future seriously. Because if you don't, nobody else will. You want to be respected? Then build something worth respecting. You want people to take you seriously? Then take yourself seriously first. You don't have to announce what you're doing. Just get to work. Show up day after day. Improve your habits. Keep your room clean. Build your discipline. Stop skipping the work. Nobody sees it now, but one day they'll wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You shut your mouth and you got serious. You stopped needing others to clap for you. You stopped waiting for the perfect moment. You stopped explaining every step. You just started walking. You learned to enjoy the quiet. You made peace with being misunderstood. And you used that silence to build something that speaks for itself. There is something powerful about someone who doesn't need to talk. Someone who walks into a room and their presence says everything. That's who you can become. But you have to want it bad enough. You have to be tired of being average, tired of feeling behind, tired of the same routine with no progress. You have to be willing to make the hard choices. You have to decide that your future matters more than temporary comfort. Most people are busy being loud about nothing. Be quiet and build something. Build discipline, build your health, build your knowledge, build your craft. Build the kind of life that makes people look at you and wonder, how did they do it? And you won't need to say a word, because your results will answer for you. You want to win in public? Then you need to fight in private. You need to do the work that nobody sees. You need to master the things that don't get likes. You need to put your head down and grind every single day, without skipping, without complaining, without waiting, because this is your life, and no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you a better future. You have to earn it, with effort, with focus, with consistency. It's not glamorous. It's not easy, but it's real, and it works. You have a choice. Keep talking about what you're going to do, or shut your mouth and do it. One path leads to excuses, the other leads to results. So close your mouth, get serious, stay quiet, stay hungry, and build something that cannot be ignored. That's how you focus in silence. That's how you win in public. Chapter 2. Work quietly on your goals every single day. Work quietly on your goals every single day. That's the mindset of someone who's ready to turn their life around. It doesn't sound exciting, it doesn't sound flashy, but it works. The real progress always starts the moment you stop waiting for motivation and start showing up with discipline. Not once a week, not when it's convenient, every single day. Quietly, consistently, without making a show out of it. The problem is, too many people want results, but they don't want to do the boring work that brings results. They want to be seen working hard, but they don't want to actually do the work when no one is watching. That's why they stay stuck. That's why they keep starting over. They keep looking for magic answers. But the real answer is this: be consistent when it's not exciting. Keep showing up even when nobody's clapping. That's where real progress begins. If you're serious about your future, then you've got to treat your goals like they matter every single day. Not just when you feel good, not just when you're motivated, every day. Because life doesn't reward people who work once in a while. It rewards those who put in the time, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Those are the people who end up far ahead. You've got to build a rhythm that works for you, not someone else's routine, not what looks good online. You've got to find your own pace. Maybe that means waking up earlier. Maybe it means cutting out a few things that waste your time. Whatever it is, make the change. Don't wait for the perfect time. That day never comes. Just begin. Start small if you have to, but start. The people who win are not the ones who talk the most. They're not the ones always announcing what they're working on. They're the ones who show up, day after day, quietly, getting better, without needing to explain it to anyone. You'll see them a year later, and they've transformed. But you didn't see the 6 a.m. mornings, you didn't see the nights they chose work over comfort, you didn't see the discipline. And you weren't supposed to, because they weren't doing it for show, they were doing it for themselves. That's the key. You've got to stop trying to impress people and start building something for you. Don't post it, don't brag about it, don't wait for feedback, just work. Focus on the goal, focus on the mission, and stay with it. You don't need a crowd to clap for you. You need a reason that keeps you going when it's hard, a reason that doesn't fade when things get quiet. Start thinking long-term. Don't chase quick results. Don't rush the process. Building anything meaningful takes time. It takes effort. It takes sacrifice. And yes, it will be lonely at times. You'll have days when nobody understands what you're doing. You'll have moments when you question yourself. But keep going. That's part of the process. Those who keep going during the hard parts are the ones who get somewhere. You didn't see the discipline. And you weren't supposed to, because they weren't doing it for show, they were doing it for themselves. That's the key. You've got to stop trying to impress people and start building something for you. Don't post it, don't brag about it, don't wait for feedback, just work. Focus on the goal, focus on the mission, and stay with it. You don't need a crowd to clap for you. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Why start now, when there's a moment for you to take stock? For this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Why start now, when there's a moment for you to take stock? For this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment. You need a reason that keeps you going when it's hard, a reason that doesn't fade when things get quiet. Start thinking long-term. Don't chase quick results. Don't rush the process. Building anything meaningful takes time. It takes effort. It takes sacrifice. And yes, it will be lonely at times. You'll have days when nobody understands what you're doing. You'll have moments when you question yourself. But keep going. That's part of the process. Those who keep going during the hard parts are the ones who get somewhere. You have to be okay with not being noticed for a while. You have to be okay with putting in work that doesn't get recognized, because eventually the results will show. Eventually your growth will speak louder than anything you could have said. But you've got to earn it. You've got to show up for it. And you've got to be patient with it. It's not just about working hard. It's about working smart. Use your time wisely. Don't just stay busy. Stay focused. Know exactly what you're trying to build. Make a plan. Write it down. Break it into small daily steps. Then follow through every single day. Even when you're tired, even when the excitement wears off, show up anyway. That's how you build momentum. The truth is, your future depends on the choices you make when no one's watching. It depends on what you do with your mornings, your evenings, your free hours. That time adds up. 1 hour of focused effort every day is over 350 hours a year. That's enough to completely change your life. But it doesn't happen if you skip days. It doesn't happen if you keep waiting for inspiration. It happens when you make it a habit. Discipline doesn't feel good at first, but it feels a lot better than regret. Most people live with regret because they waited too long to get serious. They waited for the right time, the right feeling, the perfect moment, and in that waiting they lost years. Don't let that be you. Make the decision now. Start the habit now. Commit to the process now, and understand something else. You're not going to feel motivated every day. That's normal, but that's not a reason to stop. You're not supposed to feel amazing all the time. You're supposed to keep going anyway. Motivation fades, discipline doesn't. Motivation is a feeling. Start building habits. And while you're building, remember to protect your peace. You don't need to explain your routine. You don't owe anyone your schedule. You don't need to convince anyone why you're working late, why you're skipping parties, why you're not always available. Stay quiet. Stay focused. You're not doing this for attention. You're doing this for freedom. You're doing this for strength. You're doing this because your life deserves better than the bare minimum. There's a kind of pride that comes from knowing you've been consistent when nobody was looking, that you've been improving without having to show off, that you've kept your word to yourself even when it wasn't easy. That's the kind of pride that builds real confidence. Not fake confidence based on likes and praise, real confidence that comes from showing up again and again. Eventually people will notice. But by then, you won't need their validation. You'll already know who you've become. And that's the goal. To become someone you're proud of. Someone who didn't quit. Someone who stayed true to the work. Someone who made a decision and followed through. You don't need a louder voice. You need a stronger routine. You don't need more opinions. You need more time with your goals. You don't need to talk about your vision. You need to live it. Step by step, day by day, in silence. Because the best work you will ever do will be the work no one sees. And the best version of you will be built in the quiet hours, far away from the noise, the pressure, the opinions, and the distraction. Work quietly, every single day. And when the time is right, your results will say everything. Chapter 3. Stop proving and start doing what really matters. Stop proving and start doing what really matters. That's the point where life begins to change. Not when you convince people, not when you impress people, but when you decide you don't need their approval anymore. Most people waste too much energy trying to be liked, trying to be understood, trying to be accepted, but none of that moves your life forward. None of that builds your future. The truth is, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You need to make progress. Quiet, steady, personal progress. That's what matters. Trying to prove yourself keeps you in a cycle of seeking permission. You explain, you post, you update, you chase recognition. But here's what really happens. You slow down. You lose focus. You forget why you started. because now you're not doing it for your growth, you're doing it to be noticed. And that's where the downfall begins. When you care more about being seen than becoming better, you trade progress for performance. That's how people get stuck. You don't need to announce every step you take. You don't need to be right in every conversation. You don't need to be understood by everyone. That's not the goal. The goal is to improve, to evolve, to fix what's broken inside, to face your own weaknesses and do something about them. That doesn't require noise. It requires action. It requires honesty. It requires you to stop pretending and start working. The world is full of people who talk a lot but do very little. They dress the part, they speak the part, but nothing in their life changes. That's because they're focused on image, not growth. They're addicted to looking like they're winning, instead of doing the work that actually builds a win. If you want something better for yourself, stop following that pattern. Stop trying to be impressive. Start trying to be real. Start trying to be effective. Doing what really matters means cutting through the distractions. It means getting serious about your time. It means you look at your daily habits and ask, are these helping me get where I want to go? And if the answer is no, you change them. Not tomorrow, not when it's easy. Now. Because your life isn't going to wait. Your goals aren't going to build themselves. You either do the work or you don't. People spend years trying to earn the respect of people who don't even know what they want in life. They base their choices on how it looks instead of what actually works. They avoid doing the hard things because the hard things don't come with instant praise. But here's the truth. What really matters rarely looks exciting. It looks like early mornings. It looks like cutting out comfort. It looks like sacrificing now to live better later. And most of all, it looks like saying no to things that waste your time, even when those things are popular. Doing what really matters requires clarity. You can't chase everything and expect to make progress. You've got to define what's important. You've got to know what your priorities are. And once you know, you protect them. You don't compromise. You don't make excuses. You don't wait for others to support you. You build your own reasons. You stay focused even when others don't understand. That's how serious people live. When you stop proving, you free yourself. You stop needing the world's permission. You stop waiting for applause. And you start making decisions based on your own standard. That's where real strength comes from. When you can stand alone. When you can show up without a crowd. When you can push forward even when no one claps for you. That's growth. That's maturity. That's leadership. Some people won't understand your choices. Some will doubt you. Some will think you've changed. And they're right, you have. Because staying the same means staying stuck. Growth means doing things differently. It means walking away from habits that don't serve you. It means focusing more on results than reactions. And it means being okay with being misunderstood, because you're building something deeper than what people can see on the surface. You owe it to yourself to take your life seriously, not in a way that's rigid or cold, but in a way that's clear and intentional. Your days matter. Your energy matters. Your purpose matters. And when you stop trying to prove that to others, you finally have the space to prove it to yourself. You prove it by how you show up. You prove it by how you handle setbacks. You prove it by how you keep your word to yourself, even when nobody's watching. What really matters is not how many people approve of your effort. What matters is the life you build because of your effort. The inner peace you earn from showing up every day, the confidence you develop from doing what's hard and not quitting, the strength that comes from knowing you don't need to explain your path, you just need to walk it. And make no mistake, walking that path isn't always easy. You'll have doubts. You'll have days when nothing makes sense. You'll feel like giving up. You'll wonder if it's worth it. But if you stay committed to doing what matters, the answer will always be yes. Because the results that come from that kind of effort are solid. They last. They change you from the inside out. You're not here to perform for people. You're not here to get likes or validation. You're here to become who you were meant to be. And that version of you, the one with strength, with discipline, with clarity, that version doesn't need to prove anything. That version simply lives the truth. So stop talking about your vision and start building it. Stop chasing attention and start chasing progress. Stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. And do it for you, not for show, not for status, for growth, for peace, for real, lasting change. You'll look back one day and realize the greatest shift in your life didn't happen when someone finally believed in you. It happened when you stopped needing them to. When you got up, focused on what mattered, and followed through, day by day, quietly, honestly, without needing to be seen. That's when everything started to change. That's when you stopped proving and started living.
Chapter 4. Build your habits without telling anyone about them. Build your habits without telling anyone about them. That's one of the most powerful things you can do. Not because hiding makes you mysterious, but because when you keep it to yourself, your focus stays sharp and your effort stays honest. Most people break their own growth by needing to announce everything. They start something good, and before it's even rooted, they talk about it. They post about it. They want praise for what they've barely begun, and as soon as they get that approval, the motivation fades. Because now it feels like they've already done something great when they haven't followed through on anything yet. Building habits is personal. It's not for the camera. It's not for a crowd. It's for you. And the more you keep it private, the more it becomes real. The more it grows inside of you as part of who you are. A habit is not a statement. It's a repeated action. It's something you do without needing attention. It becomes part of your identity over time. And that only happens when you stay consistent in the quiet moments, when no one's asking what you're working on, and no one's giving you credit. That's where the strength is built. You don't need to announce that you've started waking up early. Just wake up early. You don't need to tell people you're reading more books. Just read. You don't need to explain your new schedule or show everyone your workout plan. Just follow it. Your habit doesn't become stronger by talking about it. It becomes stronger by repeating it. When you do things in silence, you protect your energy. You avoid the trap of needing someone else to approve your growth. You avoid having to explain yourself when you hit a setback. And you avoid the temptation to quit just because people aren't noticing your effort. Growth doesn't need a stage. It needs consistency. It needs time. It needs privacy. It needs you to stay with it even when it gets boring. At the beginning of anything, your willpower is weak. You're building something new. It's unfamiliar. You're not used to it yet. And in that phase, talking about it too soon can kill the momentum. Because once you start sharing, you invite opinions. You invite distractions. You invite judgment. And all of that can throw you off. You start worrying about how it looks instead of how it feels. You start trying to match expectations instead of staying true to your path. But when you keep it to yourself, you don't have to prove anything. You're not performing. You're not trying to sound impressive. You're just showing up. Quietly, repeatedly. That's how real change happens. That's how habits take root. In the background, in the daily grind, in the parts of your day no one sees. You don't have to justify your discipline. You don't have to explain why you're changing. Just change. Improve your diet without posting about it. Spend time learning without announcing it. Save your money without sharing your goals. These choices, made daily and kept private, will build a foundation of self-respect that nobody can take from you. Some people won't notice your growth at first. Some people might even question why you seem distant or different. That's fine. You're not living for them. You're not making choices for their comfort. You're creating a better future for yourself. And that future is built with habits that you stick to, not ones you talk about. Every day you have a chance to do something that helps you grow. Wake up and get after it, without needing to be seen. Track your progress privately. Reflect on your mistakes quietly. Adjust your strategy in peace. You'll be amazed at how fast your life changes when your energy is spent on doing, instead of explaining. Building habits without sharing them also teaches you something powerful: self-trust. You start to believe in yourself on a deeper level. You don't need a reminder from the outside world to keep going. You've made a promise to yourself, and you're keeping it. That's what changes your confidence. Not compliments, not praise, but knowing you've been consistent even when no one noticed. And this kind of discipline becomes a part of you. You wake up, and your day already has structure. You don't waste time. You don't need to find motivation every morning. You've built a system, and now that system carries you. But it only works if you've done the hard part first, building it when it was tough, when it wasn't exciting, and when nobody was watching. People will see the results later, but by then, you won't care about showing off. You'll be too focused on your next goal. You'll be living in a way that feels right to you. And that kind of quiet strength, unshaken, focused, intentional, that's the kind of power that lasts. Stop trying to impress people with your goals. Show them your discipline through results. Let them wonder how you changed so much. Let your new habits speak for themselves. You don't need to tell them what you're doing. Just keep doing it. And when they ask what changed, you won't even need to say a word, because it'll be obvious. This approach also protects your mindset. When you stop telling everyone your plans, you avoid unnecessary pressure. You give yourself the room to make mistakes, to learn, to adjust, without the fear of looking like you failed. You don't owe anyone perfection. You owe yourself growth. And growth is messy. It takes time. It doesn't follow a straight path. But if you stay with it quietly, it will reward you in ways no applause ever could. Be the person who takes action in silence, who becomes better behind the scenes, who isn't driven by recognition, but by self-respect. Build a life that works whether or not anyone sees it, and you'll find a kind of peace that's hard to shake. Your habits will build your future, one day, one action at a time, and if you stay consistent long enough, they'll carry you through challenges that used to break you. You'll become someone who doesn't talk about discipline, you live it. You don't post about change, you embody it. This is how strong people live. They make moves in silence, they improve quietly, and they let time reveal their transformation. That's the way to go. That's the mindset that wins. That's how you build a life that lasts. Chapter 5. Take action daily and say nothing about it. Take action daily and say nothing about it. That's how you separate the ones who really want it from the ones who are just talking, the ones who move in silence, who put in the work every single day without needing attention or approval. Those are the ones who end up changing their lives. Not the ones always explaining, not the ones always sharing, not the ones waiting for someone to notice. Quiet action, repeated consistently, is what builds results that speak louder than anything you could ever say. Every day, life gives you the chance to get better. You don't need to tell anyone what you're about to do. You just need to do it. You don't need to prove you're serious. Show it in your discipline. Show it in your consistency. Show it in your outcomes. People waste so much time talking about what they're planning. They get addicted to the feeling of making announcements. But announcements don't create transformation. Work does. Quiet, steady, boring, honest work, done daily. You don't need a crowd. You don't need claps. You don't need to share your plans in group chats or post updates every time you take a step. Most people do that because they're looking for accountability from the outside. But accountability that sticks, that comes from the inside, from knowing that you don't need anyone watching for you to give your best, from knowing that you're building something for yourself, not for applause. If it matters to you, you'll show up for it. Not once a week, not when it feels easy. Every day, whether you're tired, stressed, busy, or bored, show up. That's what creates change. Not the loud goals, not the dramatic declarations, but the quiet follow-through. You want to improve your health? Show up. You want to become more skilled? Show up. You want to turn your life around? Show up. And do it without saying a word. People often mistake silence for weakness, but real strength is being able to do the work when nobody sees, when nobody praises, and when nobody checks in. You know what you're doing. You know where you're going. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend your routine. Just take the next step, and keep taking it. There's a kind of power that builds inside you when you act without needing a reaction. You stop depending on validation. You stop waiting for feedback. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to build a connection with your own process. You don't need reminders. You don't need motivation videos every morning. You've made a choice, and now you live by it. Not loudly, not emotionally, quietly, focused, grounded. You don't have to make noise to make progress. And you don't need to explain your priorities to people who don't understand them. Your time belongs to you. Your energy belongs to your vision. Every time you take action without making a big deal out of it, you build discipline, you build inner control, you build that quiet momentum that can't be stopped. Because now you're not doing it for approval. You're doing it because it matters. That's what most people don't get. They think if they're not seen, it doesn't count. But the truth is, the best progress happens in the dark. When no one's asking about it, when no one's cheering for it. That's where the real wins are created. That's where new standards are set. Not when the camera's on, but when the world is silent and you still show up. Taking action daily means building a life with structure. You don't need to force yourself every day. You just need to commit. You don't need to rely on moods or feelings. You need to rely on the fact that your actions today will shape your life tomorrow. Every workout, every journal entry, every chapter read, every focused hour. These are the building blocks. These are the steps. Stack enough of them, and you'll look back a year from now, barely recognizing yourself. Not because you said you'd change, but because you did. Stay away from distractions that pull you into proving. Stay away from people who always ask what you're doing, but never do anything themselves. Stay away from the pressure to be loud about your journey. The more quiet your progress is, the more real it becomes. The more silent your effort, the more solid your growth. You don't have to tell them you're working. Let the outcome make that clear. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. You can go back to comfort, or you can take action again. And if you take action, do it with intent. Do it like it's the only thing that matters. Don't rush it. Don't chase shortcuts. Just do it well. And once it's done, move on to the next task. No need to brag. No need to show off. You know what you did, and that's enough. People who change their lives don't need the world to agree with them. They just need to believe in their decision and follow through. That's the core of all success. Belief followed by action. Not words, not posts, not promises, just effort, daily, quiet, honest effort. And when things get tough, and they will, don't complain. Don't explain, just keep moving. Adjust if you need to. Learn from it. Get stronger. But never stop. Every hard day you survive adds another layer of grit. Every silent win you earn builds confidence. And every action you take without telling anyone brings you closer to becoming someone who lives on purpose, not for attention. This life isn't about being seen doing the work. It's about doing the work and letting it shape you. The less you talk, the more you do. And the more you do, the more you grow. And that growth becomes undeniable. Not because you told people, but because they'll see it in how you carry yourself, in how you speak, in how you live. Take action today, then again tomorrow, then the next day. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. Just show up, day after day, one step at a time, quietly, steadily, and watch how everything starts to change. Not all at once, not in public, but deep inside where it counts the most. That's where success is born. In the quiet decisions, in the daily effort, in the choice to act, without saying a single thing. Chapter 6. Improve yourself in silence and trust your pace. Improve yourself in silence and trust your pace. That's how lasting change is built. Not in the noise, not in the race, but in the quiet, steady process of getting better on your own terms. It's not about being faster than someone else. It's not about comparing timelines. It's about learning to move with intention, not pressure, to get better, because you've decided you're worth more than where you are right now, not because you need to be seen doing it. The world moves fast. Everywhere you look, people are showing their progress, showing their routines, showing their results. And if you're not careful, you start to feel like you're behind. But behind what? Whose clock are you living on? Who told you that you had to catch up? The truth is, nobody's path is the same, and the only timeline that matters is your own. But you only understand that when you step away from the pressure to prove yourself, when you decide to grow quietly, without asking for permission or validation. Silence protects your process. It gives you room to breathe, to reflect, to work without the pressure of expectations. It lets you make mistakes without feeling like you failed in front of an audience. And that's important, because growth is messy. Some days feel strong, other days feel uncertain, but all of it counts. And when you give yourself the space to experience it, without needing to broadcast it, you begin to develop a deeper kind of strength. One that doesn't need approval to keep going. Improving in silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to stay focused. It means you're not chasing noise. You're not looking for claps. You're building something real. And real progress takes time. It takes patience. It takes the kind of effort that nobody else will see, but you'll feel it in your focus, in your choices, in how you start showing up differently. You grow when you stop rushing, when you stop comparing your start to someone else's middle, when you stop trying to force the outcome and start trusting the process. There's a rhythm to your life. Find it. Follow it. Don't fight it. There's no prize for being the fastest, but there is peace in being the most grounded. There's power in showing up for yourself at your own pace and knowing that consistency is what gets you there, not speed. Trusting your pace means respecting where you are right now. It means not beating yourself up for not being further along. It means recognizing your wins, even the small ones, because they matter. Every new habit you stick with, every day you don't quit, every time you keep going without needing to talk about it. That's growth. That's improvement. That's what builds a foundation that doesn't crack when things get tough. Most people fall apart, not because they're weak, but because they try to force change too fast. They want transformation overnight. They want results in a week. And when that doesn't happen, they lose hope. But the ones who win, they're the ones who don't rush. They're the ones who put in the work, day after day, and let the results come when they're ready. They don't need to prove anything. They just keep going, quietly, patiently, relentlessly. It's easy to want progress fast, but what you build fast often falls apart just as quickly. Take your time. Build slow if you have to. What matters is that you don't stop. What matters is that every day you're doing something to move forward, even if it's small. Even if it doesn't look like much from the outside. You know what it means. You know how hard it is, and that's enough. Improving in silence gives you control. You're not waiting for someone to notice before you feel motivated. You're not basing your self-worth on how much attention you get. You're doing the work because it's part of who you're becoming. You're doing it because it matters to you. That's the kind of growth that sticks. That's the kind of growth that can't be taken away. Some days you'll feel slow. Some days you'll feel like nothing is changing. But it is. Every day you show up and choose effort over comfort, something shifts. You're becoming more patient, more focused, more capable, but you won't always see it right away. That's why you need to trust your pace. Believe in what you're building, even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet. You don't owe the world updates. You don't need to explain why you're changing. Just keep going. The ones who are meant to notice will, but by then you won't need their approval, because you'll have built something far more valuable, self-respect. And that only comes from doing the work when it's invisible, when it's uncomfortable, and when nobody else is cheering you on. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to go all in, stop. The perfect moment is now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Move at your own speed, and do it quietly. Not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. Because you know that what you're building doesn't need to be shouted about. It needs to be done. You'll know you're improving when your actions become habits. When you no longer need to talk yourself into doing the right thing, you just do it. When skipping your routine feels off. When discipline starts to feel like you're normal. That shift doesn't happen in a rush. It happens in silence, over time, with effort, with repetition. And if you fall off, get back up, quietly. No need to make a big deal out of it. No need to start over with a new announcement. Just return to your rhythm. Return to your pace. One step at a time. That's all it takes. There's something powerful about someone who doesn't need to be seen to stay consistent. Someone who doesn't depend on applause. Someone who can keep working through doubt, through boredom, through hard days. That's not weakness. That's resilience, and it's built through silent effort, day after day. Your journey is yours. You set the tone. You decide the pace. You choose how it looks, how it feels, and how it unfolds. So choose patience, choose privacy, choose persistence, keep improving, and trust that every step, no matter how quiet or small, is leading you somewhere better. Not fast, not loud, but real. Chapter 7. Stay focused on your path and ignore opinions. Stay focused on your path and ignore opinions. That's the mindset that protects your peace, sharpens your clarity, and gets you where you truly want to go. You can't walk forward while constantly turning your head. You can't build something meaningful while giving your attention to every voice around you. The world is full of noise. People will always have something to say. Some will question you, some will doubt you, some won't understand you at all. That's okay. It's not your job to convince them. It's your job to stay locked in on your purpose. When you decide to take your life seriously, you'll feel resistance, not just from within, but from the people around you. Some will try to pull you back. Some will joke about your discipline. Some will give you advice based on their own fears, not your vision. If you're not careful, you'll start adjusting your pace just to make others comfortable. You'll second-guess your choices. You'll start looking for reassurance. And that's how you lose momentum. You start watering down your effort to match their expectations. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to be understood by yourself. You need to know what matters to you and why you're doing it. That internal clarity is more powerful than any opinion. You don't owe people explanations for choosing growth. You don't have to make sense to people who are standing still. If they're not living your life, their opinions shouldn't shape your direction. Staying focused means protecting your mental energy. It means filtering what gets your attention. Every time you stop to respond to criticism or prove something to someone, you're taking time away from the real work. You're slowing down your progress to win a debate that doesn't even matter. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them guess. You've got a path to walk, and you can't afford to be distracted. You were not born to please everyone. You were not created to live by someone else's standard. If your vision is clear, if your intentions are honest, then keep moving. Keep refining your craft. Keep building yourself. You don't need the world's permission to grow. You just need the courage to ignore the noise and keep showing up. Opinions don't build skill. Opinions don't put in the work. Opinions don't wake up early for you, don't study for you, don't sacrifice for you. You do all of that. So why let opinions carry more weight than your own effort? Why let the words of people who aren't building anything hold you back from building everything? Not everyone will like the way you move. Not everyone will support your boundaries. Some people are more comfortable with the older version of you, the one who used to say yes to everything, the one who used to play small, the one who used to blend in. But you're not here to stay the same. You're here to rise, and rising often means walking alone, at least for a while. It means standing firm when people question you. It means trusting your vision when nobody else sees it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Growth looks different for everyone. What feels right for you might feel strange to others. What you value might not make sense to them. But it doesn't have to. That's not your burden to carry. What you're doing makes sense to your future self, the one you're becoming. That version of you will thank you for staying focused, for not giving in, for not needing everyone to clap. The world rewards results, not explanations. Focus on your routine. Focus on your habits. Focus on who you're becoming. The outside voices get quieter, the more you stay committed. The doubt fades when progress speaks for you, and the opinions that once felt heavy lose all power when you realize they were never about you in the first place. Most people project their own fears, insecurities, and regrets. When they see you doing something they never had the courage to do, it challenges them. So they criticize. Don't take it personal, just keep working. You weren't put here to follow the crowd. You weren't born to live on repeat. You've got a direction, a calling, a path that's yours alone. And the more you honor that path, the stronger you become. The more focused you stay, the more everything starts to line up. You build discipline, you build clarity, you build momentum. But all of that depends on one thing, your ability to stay centered, especially when people talk, and they will talk. Some will misunderstand you, some will laugh, some will give advice you didn't ask for, but they won't see your late nights. They won't feel the pressure you carry. They won't understand the battles you fight in silence. You're the one who's walking this road. You're the one who's putting in the effort. So don't hand over control of your life to people who aren't doing the work. Focus is a decision. Every day you choose what to give your energy to. You choose what matters. You choose what deserves your attention. And if you keep choosing distraction, you'll stay stuck. But if you choose discipline, if you choose your vision, you'll break through. You'll build something real. And when the results come, they'll come because you stayed steady, not because you tried to be popular. So shut out the noise. Turn down the volume on opinions. Say no to unnecessary conversations. Let your actions be the answer. Let your growth be the response. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be great. And greatness takes focus. It takes ignoring the side comments, the social pressure, the endless comparisons. It takes having the courage to do what you know is right, even when it's not loud or praised. Keep your eyes on your goals. Keep your schedule tight. Keep your circle strong. If someone's not helping you move forward, then their opinion is just a distraction. Stay focused. Keep your head down. Build in silence. Move with purpose. And when the time is right, your progress will speak for itself. And by then the opinions won't even matter. Because you'll know who you've become. You'll know the work you've put in. You'll look around at the life you've built, the habits you've created, the confidence you've developed, and you'll realize that staying focused was the best decision you ever made. Not for them, for you, always for you. Chapter 8. Handle your struggles alone and grow from them. Not because you want to prove something, and not because you have to do everything by yourself forever, but because there's something powerful about facing your hardest moments without reaching for someone else to carry the weight for you. Growth starts when you stop running from the pain and start learning how to walk through it. There's no shortcut around it. The lessons you really need in life won't come from books or advice. They'll come from what you survive on your own. When you go through hard times, it's easy to look outward, to blame the world, to wait for someone to notice you're hurting. But real strength is built when you look inward and decide to take control of what you can, even if it's just your attitude, your next step, or your focus. People will say they understand, but nobody really feels your struggle the way you do. No one else carries the exact weight you carry. That's why relying on others too much won't help you build the strength you need for the next level of your life. The truth is, most of your growth will come from the moments when you feel like breaking down, but don't. From the times when you want to quit, but choose to move forward anyway. Those moments shape you. They test what you're made of. They expose your weakness, but they also give you the chance to build something stronger in its place. You stop pretending. You stop talking. You stop complaining. And you start facing things head-on, even when you're tired and overwhelmed. There's nothing wrong with asking for help when it's truly needed. But some seasons in life require silence. They require you to sit with the struggle and figure out what it's trying to teach you. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every breakdown needs an audience. Some pain is there to show you something about yourself that you would have never seen otherwise. You don't become stronger by avoiding the storm. You become stronger by learning how to stand in the middle of it and not give in. The more you depend on others to fix what's broken inside you, the longer it takes for you to build the resilience that your future demands. You won't always have people around. You won't always get the support you expect. But you'll always have your choices. You'll always have your ability to decide how you respond. That's where your power is. That's where growth begins. When you say, "This is hard, but I'm not going to let it stop me." Most people avoid discomfort. They numb it. They distract themselves. But if you want to grow, you've got to sit with it. Feel it. Let it reveal the areas you've been ignoring. The bad habits, the weak thinking, the emotional laziness. Struggles strip all that away. They leave you face to face with your truth. And when you face that truth alone, you change in ways that no easy path could have ever prepared you for. Handling your struggles in silence doesn't mean you suffer in secret. It means you choose strength over sympathy. It means you use your pain as fuel, not as an excuse. It means you stop looking for someone to rescue you and start becoming the kind of person who can rescue yourself. That shift is where real growth begins. You become more than just someone who got through something. You become someone who became better because of it. When you stop looking for someone to blame and instead look for what you can control, you take your power back. You start building routines that make you mentally tougher. You start controlling your environment. You stop wasting time explaining yourself and start using that time to rebuild your mind. The struggle might be loud, but your discipline has to be louder. The outside world might be chaotic, but your focus has to stay intact. You learn to talk to yourself in a stronger voice. You learn to encourage yourself when no one else is around to do it. You learn to keep going without waiting for someone to check on you. That independence becomes your foundation. That kind of mindset is rare. Most people don't want to do that work, but the ones who do, they move differently. They walk with a kind of quiet strength that can't be faked. When things fall apart, you'll be tempted to give up. You'll want to take the easy way out. But you have to ask yourself, what would the stronger version of me do right now? What would the future me be proud of? And then do that. Even if it's hard, even if it feels like you're alone, because that's the work that builds character. That's what separates the ones who grow from the ones who stay stuck. People don't grow when it's easy. They grow when it's dark. When the path isn't clear, when they're unsure and scared but keep showing up anyway. You get better when you stop complaining and start taking ownership of everything. Your time, your choices, your attitude, your habits. That's the real battle, and it's one you have to face on your own. You don't have to announce your struggle. You don't have to prove you're strong. Just keep showing up, quietly, consistently. Let the hard days shape you. Let the pain teach you. Let the silence build your focus. It's in that space where no one's watching, where no one's checking in, that you develop the grit that turns struggle into strength. And when you come out the other side, you'll realize you didn't need applause. You didn't need attention. You just needed to believe in your ability to keep going. You'll carry yourself differently. Not louder, but stronger. Because you'll know what it took. You'll remember the days you almost gave up, but didn't. The nights you cried, but still got up in the morning. The pressure you faced, but chose to rise through it instead of run from it. Struggles won't stop coming. Life won't suddenly become easy. but you will become harder to break. And that matters more than anything. Because once you know you can survive the worst without losing your drive, no challenge can scare you. No setback can stop you. You've built yourself from the inside, and that's the kind of growth that lasts forever. Not given, earned, not shared, lived. Handle your struggles alone and grow from them, not for praise, not for sympathy, but for the version of you who's waiting on the other side of the pain, stronger, smarter, sharper, and ready for more. Chapter 9. Let your results show what you've been doing. That's the mindset of someone who no longer needs to convince anyone. Not with words, not with explanations, not with constant updates. You just work. You build. You stay consistent. And eventually your life starts to change, not because you said it would, but because you made it happen. Quietly. On your own time. On your own terms. The people who spend the least time talking are often the ones doing the most, because their energy is going into the work, not into proving they're working. There comes a point where you realize talking about your goals doesn't move you forward. It might feel good for a moment, but it doesn't create results. You can share what you're planning. You can explain what you want to do, but nothing really changes until you sit down, focus, and start building it step by step. And the truth is, people don't remember your plans. They remember what you finish, what you build, what you follow through on. So stop trying to sound impressive and focus on becoming effective. There's a discipline that comes from doing the work without needing to be seen. There's a confidence that grows when you know you've been putting in effort, even when nobody notices. That kind of discipline is rare. Most people are busy performing. They want to be known for something before they've done anything. But if you want to build a life that lasts, focus on your actions, not your image. What matters most is not what people think you're doing, but what you actually get done. You don't have to explain why you've been distant. You don't need to justify your schedule. You don't owe anyone a timeline. Just keep your head down and do the work. Every day, when you're tired, when it's boring, when nobody cares, because results come from repetition, from structure, from doing the same things over and over again until you get better, until you get stronger, until your results can't be ignored anymore. And when that day comes, when the results start showing, it will be obvious. People will notice the change. They'll ask what happened. But by then, the answer will be clear. You've been working. Not once in a while, not when it was convenient, every day. On your own, without distractions, without the need to be seen. That's what creates transformation. Most people don't last that long. They get discouraged when no one notices their progress. They want fast results and fast praise. But lasting results take time. They take sacrifice. You might miss out on things. You might be misunderstood. But that's the cost of building something real. And if you're serious about your life, you'll pay that price without complaint. Because you're not working for applause. You're working for a better version of yourself. You're working to build something that can't be taken away. The real win is when you no longer feel the need to talk about what you're building. When you're so focused on doing it, that everything else becomes noise. That's when your time becomes valuable. That's when your habits get sharp. That's when your life begins to shift from planning into producing. And you'll find that the people who once questioned you will eventually respect you, not because you tried to impress them, but because your results forced them to. It's not about showing off. It's about leveling up in silence and letting the results do the talking. The people who matter will see it, and the ones who don't won't be able to ignore it. Results are louder than promises. They speak when you stay silent. They prove what your words never could. Because anyone can talk about potential, but only a few have the patience and discipline to turn potential into proof. Stop wasting time explaining yourself. Start using that time to execute. Turn off the noise. Focus on the small things that move you forward. Keep your progress to yourself. Not because you're hiding, but because you're serious. Because you know that showing up and doing the work is more powerful than trying to convince people you're doing it. The more you act, the less you need to talk. Eventually, people will see the changes in your mindset, your attitude, your results, your life. And by that point, you won't need them to. You'll already know. You'll see it in your daily discipline. You'll feel it in the strength you've built. You'll carry it in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you live. Quiet effort always pays off. It just takes longer, but it lasts longer too. There's no pressure when you stop performing for people. There's no stress when your only competition is who you were yesterday. And there's no doubt when you've been putting in the work, every day, even when it wasn't easy. That's the part nobody sees. That's the part they don't post. The long hours, the early mornings, the skipped distractions, the days you pushed through even though you felt like quitting. But all of it adds up, and over time it turns into something that no one can deny. Let your habits do the talking. Let your consistency make the statement. Let your growth be the answer. You don't need to defend your work ethic. You don't need to explain your priorities. Keep showing up. Keep building. Keep improving. And one day your results will become so clear, so strong, so obvious, that no one will ever have to ask what you've been doing. They'll know, because it will show in everything you do. Real progress is quiet. It's patient, it's humble, but it always shows up in the end. So put your energy where it matters, into effort, into action, into your mission. And when the time is right, your results will speak, and they'll say everything that needed to be said. Chapter 10. Win big without announcing a single move. Win big without announcing a single move. That's not just strategy. It's maturity. It's focus. It's understanding that real success doesn't need a stage. The more you grow, the more you realize that the loudest one in the room is often the one doing the least. And the quiet ones, the focused ones, they're not broadcasting, they're not seeking attention, they're executing, they're making small moves daily. They're doing what needs to be done without sharing it with the world. And when the results come, they arrive with strength, with depth, and with undeniable clarity. You don't need to tell anyone what you're working on. You don't have to explain why you've gone quiet, why you're no longer around, why you're not posting like before. If you're serious about building something valuable, your health, your skills, your finances, your character, then the process requires stillness. Because the more you focus on telling, the less time and energy you have for doing. And doing is what separates talkers from winners. Most people announce everything. They set a goal and immediately share it. They start a new routine and want others to notice. But the problem with that is simple. The second you announce it, you give your brain a reward it didn't earn. It feels like progress, but nothing has actually changed. You haven't finished anything. You've just received attention, and attention is a poor substitute for discipline. Winners know this. That's why they keep their work quiet and let the results deliver the message. When you win in silence, the reward is internal first. You're not seeking applause. You're not asking for validation. You're locked in. You're chasing the standard you set for yourself, not the approval of a crowd that barely knows what you're sacrificing. That's power, because now you're working from purpose, not pressure. You're motivated by your own mission. not by who's watching. And when it's all done, when you finally succeed, when your body is stronger, your mind is sharper, your life is more stable, there's no need for announcements. The shift will be seen, it will be felt, it will be respected. Not because you forced it, but because it's undeniable. Growth shows. You can't hide real elevation, but you also don't have to scream about it. It carries itself. The person who wins quietly also learns how to handle success with humility. They're not in it to show off. They're not trying to trigger jealousy or prove anyone wrong. They've matured past that. They know that the reward is the progress itself, the freedom, the options, the confidence. When you've earned something through private effort, you don't feel the urge to throw it in anyone's face. You just keep moving forward, calm and focused. You don't owe anyone a breakdown of how you got where you are. You don't need to explain how long it took, how hard it was, or what you gave up. That part of your journey belongs to you. The long nights, the early mornings, the setbacks, the quiet wins, those are personal. You built in silence, and the reward is yours to enjoy with peace. Winning big, without saying a word, also protects your future. Because when people don't know what's coming, they can't interfere. They can't speak doubt into your plans. They can't distract you with opinions. They can't sabotage what they don't see. Your silence becomes your shield. While others are showing off and seeking validation, you're working in the dark, staying grounded, staying focused, and building something that can't be undone by noise. And silence builds discipline. When you don't talk about your every step, you learn to rely on yourself. You become your own source of motivation, your own accountability, and in doing so, you gain full control over your journey. You move based on clarity, not crowd reaction. You pivot with precision, not with pressure. That's how winners win again and again, because they never hand over control. You start realizing that not everyone needs to be involved in your process. Not everyone deserves to know your next move. Not everyone can handle your growth. And you're not obligated to include them. You're not rude. You're responsible. Responsible for your time. Responsible for your mindset. Responsible for your vision. And that responsibility requires privacy. Winning in silence also teaches you to trust the process. Because when nobody knows what you're doing, there's no instant feedback. There's no cheering section. There's no social reward. It's just you and the work. You and your habits. You and your choices. And that teaches you to stay consistent without being seen. It teaches you to love the grind for what it gives you, not for how it looks. That's the deepest kind of growth, the kind built in quiet, unseen places. And when the win comes, and it will, it feels different. It's not a surprise. It's not luck. It's not overnight. It's earned. And because you didn't need the world to believe in you first, the victory feels even more complete. You believed in yourself when no one else did. You kept going when it would have been easy to stop. You stayed the course when it got hard. And now the results are permanent. Let other people talk. Let them chase attention. Let them pretend. You stay silent and stay dangerous. You do the work they avoid. You build the life they only talk about. You walk with confidence because you've earned it. You move differently because your habits are different. Your discipline is different. Your purpose is clear. And that's the real win, not just the outcome, but the person you became to achieve it. Quiet, focused, humble, relentless. That's how you win big, without announcing a single move. Because the move is already in motion. The change is already happening. The shift is already underway. You're not talking about it. You're living it. Every day, every hour, every choice. When people finally see it, they'll think it happened fast. But you'll know the truth. It didn't happen overnight. It happened in silence, in discipline, in the hours no one counted, in the days no one cared. And you wouldn't have it any other way. Because real success doesn't scream. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply shows up, strong, undeniable, and built to last.